don't we have a show for you tonight? And I am so delighted that you have taken this opportunity to come back. You know, you keep coming. It's just like going to a restaurant, Taryn. It's like you like it, and it's like, oh, you're back again. Oh, you're back again. That tells you that you
Yeah,
like it. So, and
that's right.
of course, the owners of the restaurant will, I'm pretty sure, unless they're good owners, they'll thank their customers for coming back. So, and I know Taryn does that too when he does his TJ Topics shows. He's always celebrating his audience, and I try my best to do that as well. Whether it's one person watching or 100, I think it's important when people take the time out of their day, as Terrence say, you know, to just come into their homes while they're watching on your laptop, the TV, whatever capacity that they may do. And we should always make our customers, um, I was going to say happy, but sometimes depending on the subject.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you can't always make everybody happy, but you can still make everybody feel welcome and
Yeah.
appreciate. We're gonna have a great conversation. We're here today with my dear friend for many years. His name is Taron Jerome Harris. He is a phenomenal friend. He makes me laugh. Well, we talk on the phone at least once a week, if that. Um, he's also the host of his own show that he does online called TJ's Topics. And as he always says, if you don't know who TJ is, you're looking at him right there. So, Taryn, thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, I tell you, Brother Henry, it is certainly a pleasure to be with you. And I'm so glad to have this opportunity to join you once again.
Thank you so much. Tonight, we're going to talk about something. I got the subject on the stream, and I want to make something clear. And I was just telling Taryn this a second ago. Tonight's subject is, what are some deal breakers before entering a relationship with a woman? Now, doing this subject, I'm sure a lot of women are gonna look at it and say, "Well, how dare he or Taryn or whatever? How dare they say deal breakers against a woman?" Well, we can talk about that because maybe we've had interest in women in the past. Maybe if we decide to date again, we got some deal breakers on the table that we're not going to negotiate. Those non-negotiable. So we can only relate to that because it's been our experience. So this is everything that we're going to talk about tonight is not by any means to degrade women, to put women down, to offend you. But at the same time, if you are triggered by some things that are said, I think it's more of an issue with you than it is with us. So sometimes you got to look within yourself and say, and that's what a trigger is. Why did this bother me so? Taryn said something. Why did it bother me so much? Maybe it's something you need to expose and bring to light. So this is just educational. And I'm pretty sure a lot of men are tuning in now. They're going to watch. I'm pretty sure a lot of men are going to, a lot of stuff we're going to say is going to resonate with the men that are watching in regards to some deal breakers. So what are some deal breakers before entering a relationship with a woman? We also have a show coming up with my friend Adikis. She lives out of Florida. I call her my bestie. And she's going to be coming on my show, Taryn, here soon. And she's going to be talking about deal breakers as it relates to men.
Okay.
And who knows? There may be some men that may get offended. So it's like I can't really control who gets offended and who don't. But if you do, maybe that's a part of yourself you have to look into. So we're going there. We're going to talk about it. So Taryn, thank you so much. I didn't write anything down, but I told Taryn to jot some things down. But I think I've been in enough relationships in my life where I have developed some deal breakers. And a deal breaker pretty much means non-negotiable. that means I'm not going to negotiate this. This is the way it is, and that's it. So, Taryn, what are your thoughts when it comes to deal breakers?
Some things may seem sort of small, but then there are other things that could be rather big. It just depends on your perspective. And so I jotted down a whole bunch of stuff. Matter of fact, I have 12 different items here that I would consider to be deal breakers when it comes to dealing with women. And why did I choose the number 12? Well, I guess, I kind of go back to the scriptures just a little bit. Jesus had 12 disciples, and then in the book of Revelation, there are 12 gates into the city of New Jerusalem, and built on 12 foundations, and 12 months in the year, in the calendar. So I don't know, it's just something about the number 12, and the number 12 is government, government and authority. So I guess that's the reason why I wrote down 12 things that would turn me off when it comes to dealing with
let the Lord use you tonight. Let the Lord use you.
And I wasn't even trying to go that way, but it just turned out that way.
Well, I'm looking forward to you sharing right now, and we'll just elaborate on those. I have a fear in my head I'll bring up from time to time, but as of right now, let's just see what you got, and we'll just go from there. So, what are some deal breakers you came up with? And as Taryn is doing this, if you are a man and you're watching, put in the comment section now. What are some deal breakers for you as it relates to women?
Yes. Now, deal breaker number 1 would be if she's a smoker. I don't care for women. Yeah, smoking cigarettes and smoking in pretty much anything. I mean, cigars and smoking weed and marijuana and all that kind of stuff. I find that to be a major turnoff because and I know that people have different preferences, habits or whatnot. It's their choice what they want to do. But I don't smoke myself. And so since I'm not a smoker, I wouldn't feel too good being with a smoker, and I mean, and then think about this. Secondhand smoke is oftentimes a silent killer. They say that high blood pressure is a silent killer, and it is. It's the number 1 silent killer. But the second silent killer is secondhand smoke. And if you're a man out there watching right now, and you find yourself being involved with a woman, and you may not smoke, but she smokes, and she wants to be around you and stuff, smoking cigarettes or whatever, and you're inhaling all that secondhand smoke, you may not realize what's going on internally at the time, but later on down the road, the effects of that secondhand smoke may start to appear, and it could be too late by the time you discover it. So, I mean, if you smoke now and she smokes also, well, more power to you. But that's just one of my turnoffs when it comes to dealing with women.
Yeah, you see, I've dated, and I have been with women in the past. I put a comment below, and we're going to do tonight's questions at the end of the show. But I got a comment below that says, what are some deal breakers for you with women? I said comment below, only men. But yeah, I've dated some people, Taryn, in the past that did smoke. I've only been with a couple of women that smoked weed. It doesn't really I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker for me, but at the same time, it depends. Like if they were living with me, smoking up my house, that's where it'll probably become a problem because I don't know. And like I said, I've had it happen in the past, but now, that, nobody lives with me, it's just me and my daughter. And I don't know if I would be so open to that. So I can see where that could be like a turn off. Like if they want to smoke outside or whatever the case may be, they can do that. But I can see where they could be a huge deal breaker.
Yes.
Even health wise too.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, you have to think about things like that. That's very important. And oftentimes when people are involved in these various habits, they don't consider all of the ramifications that go into it. But you have to think about there's a consequence for everything we do in life,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what it is. And so yeah, those are things that we have to consider if we're gonna be involved with somebody. Is this the type of person that we want to be with for a long term, and they got all these habits. And think about this too, Henry and viewers. Habits oftentimes are expensive, and if
Mm-hmm.
you're a regular smoker, that can be a very expensive habit. You look at the price of cigarettes and then you get into marijuana and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you shelling out a lot of money that you could be using to pay bills, pay down your debt, save for the future and other things you want to do, take a vacation, and you spend all that money smoking it up. Man, I tell you, shoot,
I can
man,
understand that. It can affect the other person too in a
yeah,
relationship financially, especially if you're with a partner that works and don't have enough income to provide, for themselves as it relates to cigarettes or weed or whatever. Because I found myself in that situation a couple of times in my life where, and I think some of
mhm,
this stuff can be an addiction. And especially if
mhm,
they don't have any money, you have to deal with the effects of their withdrawals.
yes,
Because if they don't have it, you're going to be dealing with their mood swings or because like I said, if you are addicted to it, it is almost like, okay, here, go ahead and get you some weed, go get you
mhm,
some cigarettes, just to get them off your back, because they're going to come to you because most of the time they don't have. I'm not saying all women, but most of the time they don't have the money, like you said, especially if you know you don't have the money. Why are you doing it? But it's another thing when you are addicted to something, because you'll go to the extremes to make sure you get what you want.
that's right.
I was thinking of too, Taryn, and I'm looking forward. I'm excited about hearing everything you have to say. And I'm going to say this: one of the deal breakers that I have at, when it comes to relationships, before I even enter a relationship with a woman, if I'm on your dating profile, and we see this happening all the time, and you refer to yourself as a bitch,
Mhm.
Um, that I don't know how you feel about it, Taryn. I would love your perspective, but and I understand some people say it in jest, like at work. I got a friend that walks up to me, and "What's up, bitch?" Just it's like joking, but it's another thing when it's been ingrained into your identity from it,
Yes.
because that word carries a negative connotation, and when you call yourself, "I'm a bitch," it's like. To me, that's always I'm not. It's associated to so many things, but to me,
That's right.
it's also it can be also associated with bad behavior too, or somebody that's toxic or
Absolutely.
mean. Or that's what it yells to me. I'm mean spirited. I'm hateful. So a woman that calls herself that, I kind of like back a few steps. I'm like, this ain't something I want. What do you think about that?
Why would any woman want to reduce herself to being a dog? She's labeling herself as an animal
Mm-hmm.
because that's what a bitch is, a female dog. It's the girl dog. And so why would she want to put herself on the same level as a dog? I mean, that just, I've been around a lot of women who have done that kind of stuff, even back when I was in school, like junior high and high school and stuff. And since I've been an adult, and they refer to themselves as bad bitches.
Yeah.
They're calling themselves a bad dog.
Mm-hmm.
Man, oh my God. I don't know.
Taryn, I dated a girl. Her father called her that word from the age of 4 up until
Oh
her,
no.
yeah, up. So we have those situations too. Up until her adulthood, we ended up
Yeah.
dating, and I always wonder
Mhm.
why she always would. If she like, let's say we got in a little minor argument, she'll be like, "I know I'm a bitch." I'm like, see that right there is like, that's one of the reasons why we're not together today. But still, but it's even sad when you are a kid and your parents are calling you that, and
Yeah.
for whatever reason, I have a daughter. I'll never call her that, and I tell her you shouldn't be with a man that calls you that.
I'm telling you, for real.
That's not okay.
No, it's not.
And like I said, I know there's different dynamics. Some people joke around, and like I think that's in some ways could be innocent. But
It
I'm
can't.
just saying, but to call yourself that, like, is it like it's your whole identity of who you are, and you're trying to date?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Uh,
It's a turn off for me. It's definitely a deal breaker.
yes. Yes. Absolutely, it is. Man, I tell you. I guess we'll proceed to number 2 on my list, and that is if a woman is a heavy drinker. In other words, she's an alcoholic. That is a major deal breaker for me. I've been around a lot of people who drink, men and women. And when people get drunk, I mean, they just become totally messy. I mean, everybody can't control themselves,
Yeah,
once they get full of alcohol. And I've lived around that kind of stuff, and so I know how it is. But it's even worse. Now it's bad enough when men get drunk, but it's something different about when a woman gets drunk. I mean, the way they carry themselves, and then one thing that a woman must consider, especially women, when they get drunk, is see when women get drunk, they are more prone to being taken advantage of by men more so than men. I mean, because men are viewed as the ones who are the aggressors most of the time,
yeah.
and the women, they're sort of like the prey or whatever. And so if a woman gets drunk, if she's not one thing just to have a little, couple glass of wine or maybe a little beer or something like that, just socialize, and that's fine. But I'm talking about getting sloppy drunk, just to the point where she doesn't know where she is, she doesn't know what she's doing, who she's with. I mean, she's totally unaware of her surroundings. That is when she sets herself up to be, I mean, pretty much anything happen. I mean, uh, uh raped and anything. I mean, that's not good, and it's very unsafe.
It,
So
re- it really is. It really is. And you see those early signs too. That's why it's important if you're going to date or whatever. And like you said, Taryn, this works both ways. We got another show, like I said earlier. We're gonna be talking about deal breakers when it relates to men. So, but
yeah.
tonight we're talking about women. But I think it's
Hmm.
important when we are trying to develop a relationship with someone, whether that's dating them or whatever that relationship turns into, be clear. Ask those tough questions. What are some deal breakers you have? Because I feel like we shouldn't just put that on the table, so to speak, and okay, we'll negotiate it, we'll see, and you find yourself with an alcoholic that
That's
you didn't.
right.
Because sometimes when you go into a relationship, they don't. And I went through this a time or two. They don't always tell you everything right off the bat,
They sure don't.
and sometimes they'll lie to you too.
Yes, they will. Yeah,
So that is,
they that that's how it is when you first get with somebody. They're not going to reveal everything about themselves at first
hmm
because they want you to like them and accept them. It's
hmm
not until you get in deep with them that's when you start to discover their true colors.
yeah.
And sometimes by the time it goes that far, it's too late. because I mean you're in so deep by then. So yeah.
I think another one I was thinking of, Taryn, and I don't know if you wrote this down, but a deal breaker for me is hygiene.
Oh yes, I most certainly did write that down. Yeah,
I said I want you to talk about that too, because for me, and like I said, I'm not being degrading or anything like that, but for me, you got to be clean. I'm talking about in like every. You get what I mean?
I know what you're talking about. Everything and everywhere.
Yeah, because I've been with some people. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that. But it's a turn off. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like it's a turn off to me, and that could be like dental work, how you take care of your body, your hair, do you take pride in your personal appearance, your private area. I'm just being real. Like do you keep yourself up? Do you see those things are important to me? I don't know how you feel. I don't know how you feel about that, Taryn, but to me, a woman that doesn't really take care of herself or don't show pride in herself in that way, it's likely never have an interest in a woman like that. What's your thought?
I mean, it's very important that she takes care of herself. That all of us take care of ourselves and be clean. We bathe or shower, do whatever we need to do to maintain ourselves, so that when we go around folk or even in an intimate setting, we'll feel good and we'll be more comfortable. And we want our mate or our partner, whoever, to be comfortable being with us. Don't come around me smelling like catfish or smelling like I mean that what you call them things, hot dog water. I mean, don't be
How can you not know that you smell?
Well, some people, they don't pay that any attention.
How can you not know that you need to provide some attention for yourself? I don't get it. But it's even more so embarrassing when you have to tell that person, like, hey, that's embarrassing when you have to tell them.
It sure is. It really is. Yeah, and you try to, dance around it as much as you can. You may beat around the bush a little bit, but you just, part of you just doesn't want to come right out and tell them that they're funky.
Yeah.
But you know it. And you would think that they would know it too. But yeah, so I mean, you try to be nice, but sometimes you just have to break down and tell them the truth. Yeah.
That is so true. What's some more deal breakers you have, Taryn?
A woman who just lies about everything, lies about her age, lies about her, where she works or
her
whether or not she
history.
has. That's right. Yeah. Past relationships, if she has children or not, or I mean, if she's infected some kind of way, like a disease or whatever, HIV or whatever. I mean, these are things that have to be discussed early on in the relationship. I mean, men want to know these things so that way they can know exactly what they're up against.
Yeah.
You need to know if she's sick or if she has what type of illnesses might run in her family, or I mean, all that, does she have children or no kids, or what does she do for a living, or I mean, does she have a criminal background? Has she been arrested for anything, locked up, or those things?
Does she have? Here's another one. Does she have mental health issues or illness?
Yes, that's right. Exactly. Those are very important subjects to bring up. On the front end. Don't wait until 5, 10 years down the road. I mean, come on now. No, talk about that stuff early on, so that way
Mhm.
you kind of work through it, and then if you decide, well, I'm not going to be able to handle this, it's a little bit more than what I can bear, then y'all just part ways, and just be at peace, just go your separate ways.
Yeah, that is so
Because
true. I do think, and like I said, when we say women. For me, I think Taryn would agree. We're not talking about in general, because sometimes people say all women are this way. We're not saying that, but
no,
there are some women that do lie. They're good at it, and men can be good at it too. We got a whole show about that. Keep that in mind. We're not targeting women, um, but I think there's a level of manipulation too that could be involved in that too, because it's almost like conniving.
yes, it
Um,
sure is.
because women have a way, they know how to get under your skin. They know how to get you to do things that they want you to do. But it's another thing to lie, but it's another thing to cover it up, which leads to a deal breaker I'm thinking about now is women who refuse to take accountability for their own actions.
Uh-huh, that's right.
What do I mean by that? It's not going to kill you to say, honey, I'm wrong. I messed up. Taryn, I've been
Yes.
in a few relationships. I can't even count on my hand how many women. It's almost like pulling teeth. I'm like, and especially when you tell them you hurt me. There's some you said that bothered me. Can we talk about it? It's like,
Yeah.
nope, nope. I'm not apologizing. It's like, but at the same time, you want me to own and take responsibility for my actions, but you don't want to be held accountable for yours because you are a woman. That's not right, and I find it problematic going into a relationship with a woman that refuses to apologize, don't want to be responsible or take accountability for where she's went wrong, especially when she knows she went wrong. And sometimes
Yeah.
women, it's not all, but sometimes they're stubborn to the point where it's like that you just not gonna get an apology. And if I have to tell you to apologize, is that really an apology anyway? What's your thoughts on that, Terry?
Oh no, Henry. If you got to beg for a woman to apologize to you for whatever reason and she does it grudgingly, no, that's not a real apology. An apology is only real and sincere if they come to you themselves, without having to be coerced into doing so and apologize. That's the only time it's real and it's sincere and genuine. But having to make them apologize or telling them that you owe me an apology or anything like that, no, that's not, because they weren't going to apologize. That's the thing. No, because they didn't see where they did wrong. And that
Hmm.
kind of leads into something that you talked about years ago on your show about narcissists. And see, a
Yeah.
narcissist, they don't see fault in themselves, but they can point out every fault that they can find in other people. And
Yeah.
so yeah, and a lot of times you have women out here who are like that. They think that every man that comes around, you know, if something goes wrong in the relationship, it's his fault. But they never take accountability for themselves that maybe they said
Yeah.
something or did something that brought about disenchantment in the relationship.
Wow, that is so true. Like I said, it's just to me, it's just manipulation. What are some more deal breakers we have tonight, Taryn?
Well, I have several, and I'm gonna pick out one. For me, and I know this will definitely be for me. No sense of humor. You know,
Oh, yeah,
I,
I can't be with
I
nobody like that.
no,
That's a good
no.
one. That's a good one.
Yes, and there are so many women out here. who are just bona fide serious all the time. I mean, they take themselves seriously. They take everything in life seriously. They never find joy or humor in anything, and it's hard for me to be around people like that, people in general, but and women in particular. I mean, because I've dated before and stuff and tried to be in relationships, didn't go anywhere, but I like to laugh and crack jokes and say and do little silly stuff, just to kind of
Yeah.
lighten the mood. But some women out here don't go for that. They feel like if you're the type of guy who likes to joke around and have fun and stuff, they think that you're just a buffoon, or you're just you're not you're a big joker. You're not worth their time of day. And so but everything doesn't have to be like serious all the time. You just got to sit with that stern look on your
Yeah.
face. And I tell you, I've dealt with a number of stern women, old women and young women and stuff. And it's hard for me to get along with them. Very stern, and they had this hot facial expression, and and they're bitter and, oh man, frustrated about everything. And shoot, I don't care for that.
Yeah, I agree. You definitely want to be with somebody that's gonna lighten the load, as you said, and
Yes.
you want to be with someone that I'm talking to our audience, of course. And you want to be with someone that's like Terrence said, they'll loosen up. I don't want to be with someone that's like you said, that's bitter or mean spirited, don't laugh. I was with a woman at one time, literally every joke I made was a problem.
Hmm.
And I said, dang, like I can't joke around. Oh, I'm triggered. I'm triggered. I'm like, you probably shouldn't be in a relationship then.
Nope.
Like if you're triggered by everything that I say and even my jokes and just because I'm kind of like you, Taryn. I like to joke around and clown around. But you want to be with somebody that's, down to earth,
Yes.
so to speak. And it's hard it's like I don't know if you remember when you were in school, Taryn, when you put two magnets on the opposite side of each other. It's like no matter how much you try to connect it, there's going to be this strong resistance.
Sure
And
is. Yeah.
that's the way it is. You got one person that's uppity up, and you got the other one that's just like, this angry. You want to ask them, why are you so angry? What's wrong with you? So, like I said, I think that's a deal breaker for me too, and that's a good one, Taryn. Um, I got another one. I want to say someone who is consistently negative all the time.
Oh man, I tell you, Mhm.
I mean, just a bad attitude all the
Yeah,
time. We all get attitudes. We have our moments, but when
that's
those
right.
moments are like consistent, like all the
Yeah,
time, I can't deal with that. I just can't. What's your
no.
thoughts?
Oh no, I mean, I can't deal with that either, Henry. But we have to. I try to see the good in everything. But you got a lot of women out here who are not like that. They and when things happen, they get highly upset, they get pissed off, and oh man, they're just ready to fly off the handle. And don't let it be a situation where a man is involved. Oh my goodness. They're definitely ready to fly off the handle then. And then they want to label all men as no good dogs and everything else. I can say a lot more, but I'm out of respect for your audience. I'm not going to say certain things. But it's crazy how they can be that way.
It really is. And I thought about this too. And some people deserve. I don't do it, but some people deserve to be called out, like people who've treated people wrong and and stuff like that. So I really like what you said because I think that's very important. Do you have another deal breaker over there?
Yes, I do.
I
If
got like
she,
one more.
yeah, I don't particularly care for women with a bunch of tattoos.
Hmm.
I don't have tattoos myself. Now, the only thing I have that might would be considered a tattoo is my birthmark here on my right. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there on my right arm. It's a blackberry. That's what
You
that
need to
is.
go.
See, I was
You need,
yeah,
you need
I
to
was
go to a
born
Benny.
with it.
You need to go to a Benny Hinn. He'll heal that.
Oh no, I'm not letting Bennett lay hands on me. He don't need to pray for me. He can keep his prayers to himself. I have I have lived with this for 45 years and it hasn't bothered me. So if I can make another 45 years or have many more years I can make. But I'm talking about all these tattoos, the kind that they get all that ink just all over their body. And there are a lot of beautiful women out here. I mean, they just got it going on. But they have all this ink on them, all these different, you can get any kind of tattoo you want, but I mean, they're just all over, up and down their sides, down their back, all across their breasts, down on their legs, and upside their neck here, and it just, and you can't wash that stuff off. I mean, it's there, and I just, one thing they got to lay there and let the tattoo artist inject all that ink in their skin, and that stuff is kind of hard. That it says painful too. It's real sore and tender when they first get them, and they got to live with that for the rest of their lives, and me, it would be hard for me to, oh man, it'd be hard for me to really get real close to a woman that's
Yeah.
marked up like that. It looks like somebody's been using her as a canvas, like an artist or something, painting on her, filling on her. Yeah, and I just, but it won't come off. And I just, to me, it's gross. I mean, now it may not be gross to any other man out there. You may not have a
Yeah.
problem with it, but I
Yeah,
just, I don't.
that's true. Like for me, I wouldn't have a problem with it. It depends on how many tattoos.
Yeah,
It was like maybe they got like a few, but some, like you said, some of them got like all up their neck and different places.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be a huge deal breaker for me, but like you said, for some men, it will. I think another thing I was thinking about too, and we'll be wrapping it up. We'll give like maybe 2 or 3 more deal breakers after this, then we'll wrap it up. I asked someone not too long ago, it was a deal breaker for them, and they said women who are very vulgar.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Like I guess they mean in terms of cussing a lot.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I guess with me it just depends. I'm not really a big cusser myself. Like I don't cuss like God, you mom. I'm not like, but there are some that is a deal breaker and a huge deal, maybe for some men out there that because, and I'm not saying it doesn't mean that woman is not intelligent, but maybe it'll question things if like if this is the only way she communicates, or is it a cultural thing? Is it how she was raised? Those are the kind of questions I ask. But there's some men that's like, no, I can't be with a woman like that. And some men are like, hell, it don't bother me at all. What do you think about that, Terry? Women who are very vulgar.
Well, I look at it like this, and while you were talking just now, I thought about a number of comedians, like Monique and Cheryl Underwood and some more and what's her name, Wanda Sykes, and all these different comedians who come on and tell jokes and stuff, and they have a little profanity laced in, laced with their joke. Now, maybe one or two cuss words just kind of help get your point across. That's acceptable. But every other word is MF and this and that. I mean, that sort of takes away from the jokes and takes away from the humor of it, and I just, and in every conversation, matter of fact, I just recently I was in Dollar General, and there was this woman in there, and I remember her because we went to school together, and me and her sister went to school together too. And she was in there, and I didn't say anything to her. I was behind in the line. She was already at the register checking out. And I mean, it's like almost every other word was a cuss word, and I find that to be, now I can't speak for all men, but just me. I find that to be somewhat unbecoming for a woman. I mean, cussing like a sailor, as they said, and and that just, and not saying that it's right for men all the time. We know men do a lot of cussing and stuff around their friends and buddies and stuff, but now if there's a woman in the atmosphere, men ought to try to clean up their language a little bit, and stuff. So I mean, it's one of those things that you have to look at from both angles. We're talking about women and using a whole lot of profanity, but men, if we're around a woman, if a woman is somewhere nearby, and we need to kind of be careful about certain things that we say too, because anytime there's a bunch of women around and then a man shows up, if you notice, Henry, they'll start to kind of change the subject. They may be talking about a certain thing that all women can relate to, but then when a man walks into the room, they'll start to kind of change the conversation just a little bit because they don't want to say certain things in the presence of that man. And so I feel that we as men ought to show them the same respect. We ought to respect women in that manner too. Kind of watch what we say around women. Don't just totally degrade women, because I mean, the truth is, we all need each other. They need us and we need them. So if we just continue to bash them and call them all kind of bitches and whores and sluts and dogs, I mean, that doesn't bode well for them or us. So
that is so true, and that's powerful too, Terry. Thank you for sharing that. I think we got time for Terry said he mentioned 12. We're not even have time to cover them all, but I think we highlighted quite a bit. But let's do at least one more, Terry. Pick out a good one that you got. Let's do one more, and then we'll say good night to everyone. Right. And remember those that are watching right now, if you are a man, put it in the comments section. Order some deal breakers with women in the comments. Just let us know some things some non-negotiables. And give us one more, Terry, and then we'll kind of wrap all this up.
Okay, then, Henry. The last one I'm going to share is she has no ambition.
That's a good one.
No, yeah, I mean, doesn't really have any drive, any as my daddy would say, get up and go about herself, or it doesn't really have a mindset to want anything out of life, any goals for the future, any plans or anything like that. She just going through life all willy-nilly, just any way the wind blows is cool with me, doesn't have any regard for the type of life that she wants to lead going into the future, and oftentimes those type of women they find themselves left hanging, left high and dry. And then they start getting older, and they look back and all their good years are behind them, and they've wasted so much of their life on these no good jokers out here. And now they're entering their 50s and 60s and heading towards 70. And now they're having a lot of regrets, because they realize they've wasted so much of their time being with men who didn't want anything themselves, and then they didn't want nothing themselves because they wanted to mooch off somebody else. and so now they're to the point where they looking back now and they have regrets, and it's too late because they can't go and reclaim that time. That time is past. They should have had their own goals in place and strive to become something, and not rely so much on a man to take care of them, but have the ability to take care of themselves, because what if they never found the right man to be with? Well, at least if she got something going for herself, she'll make it.
Mm-hmm.
But, but that's the way it is a lot of times with these women, my boyfriend ain't gonna take care of me. My baby daddy, he gonna be there for me and all that. But what if these men walk off and leave them? And then sometimes they will. Or what if they get with a man, or they may get married and something happens to him, he passed away or whatever. Well, they still got to be able to stand on their own 2 feet.
Wow. Thank you so much, Taron, for sharing that. And I want to appreciate everyone for watching. Here are tonight's questions. Thank you, Taron. Also, this was a great show, by the way. And these questions are for those that are watching. Number one, what are some non-negotiables you have in regards to women in relationships? Make sure you put that in the comment section. Number two, what do you think is the biggest deal breaker in a relationship with women? We've talked about a lot of them, but for some people, they're like, oh, this draws the line right here. So what is that? Number three, is there any deal breakers you are willing to negotiate? I can't think of any deal breakers I'm willing to negotiate, because they wouldn't be considered deal breakers if you're going to negotiate it. Mm-hmm. And also, I want to say also that's risky too. It's risky trying to negotiate something that you really don't want to do. I want us to connect. Follow us on youtube.com/Henry Harris 100. Also, facebook.com/Soul TV. You can also connect with us on the Brother Henry and You Show /Facebook.com. Taron, I appreciate you so much for being on the show. I do have Taron's YouTube link, youtube.com/Taron Jerome Harris. And I think he's on other platforms as well. So as we go to a close, Taron, tell people how they can follow you. I do have your YouTube link up, but I know you're on Instagram and other stuff as well.
You can also find me on Instagram. Now, I have an old page on there, but I don't use that page anymore. It's got my whole name on it. So look for Taron, that's Taron, the letter H for my last name, and the number 505, Taron H 505. And you'll find my current page on there on Instagram. And then also I'm on TikTok, Taron Jerome Harris. And so any of those platforms you'll find me on, and you can connect with me and everything, and I'll be glad to see you.
Thank you so much. And make sure you tune in to TJ's Topics. I watch every one of his shows, and I'm admired by what he's doing and the change that Taron is bringing to the world. Taron, I think this was a great show. We have another show coming up shortly after this called What Are Some Deal Breakers Before Entering a Relationship with a Man? So I'm going to have a woman as a guest. So I want to hear a woman's perspective. So, and like I said, it's not our intent to offend anybody. That's not why we did this, but we're just being real. We're just talking about what's on our hearts and those non-negotiables. So I thought this was a great show. Until next week, we'll see you next week. Bye.